Not the Footy Show.
The solution? There is no solution. The genie's out of the bottle. I said this 10 years ago when they introduced bunkers and trying to appeal on a legal play and reviewing every tackle in the game. It's absolutely ridiculous that our game is refereed from a bunker in Redfern. You know, the bloke out on the field should be solely controlling for that. And if he misses something, well, then we can work out why he did. But it's wrong, and it's led it to this. It's at the end of the day, this game is too tough for doctors, too tough for lawyers, too tough for media, and too tough for referees and bunker. And that's where we're getting to now. And I don't know, we sat Andrew Abdu here the other night, right, you're all covered for him, and I said, what do you want the game to look like? If that's a penalty and if that's a send-off with Dale Finucane, what do you want the game to look like? And he couldn't answer it. They don't know what the game would look like. All they know is they don't want to be held responsible if someone gets knocked out. That's all they want, which is going to happen in rugby league. That's the nature of our game. This is the professional code. There are professionals that play this. They understand the risks, all right? It's not for everyone, but that's the farcical situation we end up with yesterday. The solution, there is no solution, because they've walked down this path through the Greenberg and Tony Archie years. They've walked down this pathway with letting the bunker be the be-all and end-all of everything, and that's where it's got our game to, all right? And no one has been able to ravel it back. And you can't. Once you've got it out there, you can't regress. So, good luck with the future. That's where it's going to go.
G'day everybody, welcome to episode 257 of Not the Footy Show. I'm Warrick, Nicolson. I've got Robb Cox driving once again, so it's a perfect time to do a preview of Finals Week 2. Hopefully the audio wasn't too bad in the first episode. It came up all right from my end, that I could tell listening back. And Robb, we've got you on the line because something happened on Monday night. Before we get to the Parramatta Canberra games and the Cronulla Souths games this weekend, you had some enjoyable TV watching, I believe, on Monday night.
Oh, mate, Gus Gould, you know, he is one of my favourites. You know, like him or loathe him, he's a very, very smart man. He's probably the most switched-on bloke in rugby league as far as I'm concerned. Yep. Sometimes he misses the mark, but he certainly didn't miss his mark the other night when he was speaking about the bunker and the overreach of the bunker. And, you know, I 100% agree with him that this, at the moment, the NRL is being officiated from a bunker. The on-field referee is not much more than a puppet for what's going on in the bunker, and I think you know, I agree exactly with what Gus said, and I think that it's to the detriment of rugby league. I mean, you know, we've gone for however many years, you know, 100 odd years with rugby league, and only the last, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years they've done this bunker thing, and mate. You know, we're going to see more and more and more of players lying down, waiting for the bunker to whisper in the referee's ear that guy's got to go or whatever. And I think it's wrong, mate. What are your thoughts?
Well, Trell Milk was all over it, or Milky Trell, or whatever his nickname is these days, saying that he pretty much stayed down 4 or 5 times deliberately to try and get a penalty. Gus identified that. I mean, I didn't watch 100% footy, and you got me onto it just before we got on the podcast. And his big crux of issue was that they don't just stick to tries. It's been his big bugbear since he started doing his podcast, since before then as well. And the other one was that you've alluded to as well, is that he's annoyed that the game is now afraid of being sued. That's effectively what he said. And he said this is where all this bunker officiating comes from. Can we just go back to the glory years of rugby league when they made a really big decision in rugby league? I think it was at the early 90s. Do you remember the big shift they made in the refereeing ranks and the addition they made in the sort of early to mid 90s? Do you remember what it was?
Was he in-goal touch judge?
In-goal touch judge. And how much of a failure was that little experiment?
Well, it certainly was a failure.
I mean, I disagree. I reckon it was the best thing ever.
Well, I don't. I think it was a failure because the bloke who's stuck down in the end of the in-goal, he doesn't get to see stuff, you know, from different angles and whatnot. So I think I don't mind, mate. I'll stand up right now, put my hand up, and say I don't mind the bunker for a try situation. Okay, but not the tackle leading up to the try, the actual motion of a try. Okay, That's where I want to see the bunker go back to. I don't want to see them adjudicate on a tackle or two before, or on the play the ball, or on anything else to do with the try. I don't even want to see them adjudicate on the offside on the try. I want to see them adjudicate on the put down, and that's it. Okay, I don't want to see them get involved in foul play. You know, I don't like foul play, but this is why we have a match review committee. So the whole system has to be over. The whole system has to be overhauled.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole system has to be overhauled, but it has to start with the bunker, right? It's not going to happen this year, but I really, you know, implore the powers that be to look at it and understand that what we're seeing now is like a video game. We're not seeing real rugby league. Players aren't even really getting all that knocked up because there's so many stoppages, you know. And as for Latrell Mitchell the other day, you know, staying down on his haunches, refusing to play the ball until the bunker got a good look at it, he should have been penalised.
Yep. Well, that rule
should have been penalised, slowing the game down.
That doesn't exist anymore, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just quickly back to the in-goal touch. The reason I liked it was at least they gave a decision in real time. They would go to the ref and they'd say, "This is what I thought I saw." And as far as positions goes, yes, it might not be as good as 10 different camera angles. It was pretty good generally. Sometimes the in-goal touch would almost be in the way. I could live with that, and I could always live with the referee making a bad call. 6 again. There you go. I can live with that. I don't like it when it goes up. I don't like when it goes upstairs and they still get it wrong, or they overrule, like we saw with the Tom Burgess high tackle on Tedesco. I said it in the last podcast. He clearly said, "I've got more than just a penalty here," and the video ref talked him out of it. And then the next one, as Gus pointed out, was soft compared to the first one.
And look, the other thing we're seeing, mate, is things like obstruction. The Val Holmes thing the other night. There's no way in the world he was getting to that try scorer. Not a chance in the world. Whether the bloke runs through the line or stops in the line, Val Holmes is not getting to that try scorer.
So that's where I disagree with you, is that I don't see why a team should be rewarded for running a guy through the line, which his whole point to be there is to obstruct. Now, whether or not Val Holmes gets there is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. If they've sent someone ahead of the ball and the whole idea is to take out a player, you should get penalised. I don't like this whole argument that he wouldn't have got there, because it's like, well, if you can argue that, then this guy shouldn't have been there anyway because he's not going to get the ball. It's the same argument.
But my counter to that, mate, is that the referee should be making that judgment in real time.
But
he shouldn't be getting someone to look. He shouldn't be getting someone to look back at it in slow mo, because everything looks worse in slow mo.
How many obstruction calls are made by the referee now? How many? Like one weekend, maybe.
But they should be. This is the thing, mate. They should be made by the referee.
I agree. What's the touchy doing? Nothing.
Well, I don't know. I don't care what the touch is doing, but it shouldn't be the bunker, because 9 times out of 10, the bunker goes black and white on it, and they go, "Oh, hold on, he touched his outside shoulder, so that's got to be an obstruction." But sometimes there might be a pass that goes for 8 meters, and the bloke was never going to get to him in a million years. If they go, no, obstruction. They don't use any discretion. It's ridiculous.
The thing about that Val Holmes thing is that Jesse Ramian stopped in the line. If he just keeps running through, not an issue in the world. And you can see he holds up and stays in the line. I can't play the whole.
But he didn't impede him from getting to him.
No, he didn't impede him because he was never going to get there. He was never going to get there, but it still stopped him from moving across because he didn't get out of the way.
But you just answered it. He was never going to get there, so it's a moot point.
No, he shouldn't have to deal with him being in the line. That's the thing. That he's never going to get the ball, so he should never be there in the first place. That same argument.
Well, he can't disappear, mate.
He doesn't run in front of the ball. The moment you decide you're going to run in front of the ball and you're going to take someone out, which is his whole role in that play is to take someone out. That's his whole role. He's not getting the ball.
Not really. What his role
and obstruct.
What his role there, mate? What his role there is to suck a bloke in. It's not so much to obstruct someone. It's to make a defender make a decision.
And he's responsible for getting out of the way. That's the way the rules work. And he didn't get out of the way.
Yeah, he didn't get out of the way, but he also didn't stop Val Holmes from making that tackle, because Val Holmes ain't going to get there. We both agree on that.
Are we doing Paul Gallen versus Gus Gould right now? Because I just watched that.
No, we're not.
And my head just exploded. Go look at the tape. Look at the tape, as Gus would say. And Gal I love how Gal was making the whole argument that all the teams that the Sharks played were at full strength. Gus kept saying no. And then it got to the end of it, and Gal goes, "Oh, the Sharks weren't at full strength either." Gal.
Yeah, he conceded.
Anyway, it's just a dog's breakfast. I do have a bit of information that relates to why we opened with Bunker and the like. One was that when the NRL digital department left Redfern, there was talk that the Bunker might be going with them. As far as I'm aware, that hasn't been the case, and they're still paying a huge amount of rent to keep the Bunker going. NEP. Yeah. So good luck, NRL, justifying that budgetary item when it keeps stuffing up. I honestly, it will. I'm just speculating here, but I give it 5 years before they're out of there, and it'll be somewhere else. They'll probably be back on doing it grounds and stuff with all these new stadiums they've been given. There'll be a dedicated bunker room. The other two things that are interesting that came out of the refereeing situation is, do you know, Cocksmith, who has the two semi-finals this weekend, referee-wise?
Let me guess. Jared Sutton and Ashley Fine.
Well, you got one. Who do you think you got right?
Well, I reckon I got Ashley Klein right.
Yeah, he gets the Friday night game. But Jerry Sutton, he's fallen completely from the tree. He's now not even number two. Who's in charge of Sharks and South?
Oh, it has to be Grant Atkins.
Yeah, it is. Which is the one that Gus said on the show thing. 100% Footy said should never do the bunker ever again.
Never be given a bunker. And look, I'm an unabashed fan of Grant Atkins, mate. You know me. I like Grant Atkins. I think he's a real decent bloke.
He's the best ref in the comp.
And I think he is too. But I think if it was he who made the call, like we suspect, about Victor Radley going to the bin, he needs to reassess that, mate. Like Gus said, the first 3 minutes of a sudden death semi-final, of course, the natives are going to be a bit restless and they're going to try and, get one over the top. But it was never, even if that had happened in the 75th minute, it's not a sin bin. It was a nothing. There was nothing in it whatsoever.
Yeah. So, anyway, so they're the two referees. Atkins has Sharks and Souths, and Klein. And do you reckon you can get to 8 sin bins on Friday night with Canberra and Parramatta? Anyway.
Not the Footy show.
Go and look at it again, Go and look at it again.
Penrith, South Sydney. They did say the Melbourne Storm. They did. The last 2 or 3 weeks had a soft jaw going into the semi-final.
They've never had finals defence all season.
Are they out in the straight sets, Gus?
Yeah, they're gone.
The last 12 weeks of the competition, they've been statistically the best defence in the competition.
Because they played no one.
Gus, I just named four.
They didn't play anyone. They didn't play anyone at full strength. They didn't play anyone.
Melbourne Storm, Penrith, Parramatta.
Look at all the players all around when they played those players. They were.
Sharks had plenty of players throughout the year also. They had players, but this is not spoken about.
What can I do?
Let's get to the games themselves. We'll start with Friday night. It's Parramatta and Canberra. Parramatta, world beaters, grand final bound, premiership favourites. All of a sudden, everyone's expecting them just to go out in straight sets. Where do you sit right now on Parramatta and the matchup? Do you reckon they would have happy? I think we might have touched this in the last pod, but would they have been happy getting Canberra or Melbourne this next game?
I think they'd be happier getting Canberra, but I don't think they're going to be. They would have been comfortable either way, mate. I don't know. I don't know about the lineups of the teams. I understand that Mitchell Moses is going to play because apparently he felt no effect whatsoever of being knocked out cold and laying on the ground like a zombie in the middle of Penrith Park the other night.
Fair old Cam Murray impersonation.
No effect.
He's doing the exact same thing as Cam Murray. Come out during the week. I'm fine. I feel great. I remember everything. Yeah. And then you compare that.
I don't remember. It was fine.
Compare that to James
just
Tedesco,
like a regular game.
He pretty much says, I don't remember all of the game. You're not playing this weekend. Who knew? You'd say that.
Exactly
Team-wise, the only changes in the teams is that Adam Elliott is out for the rest of the year with osteitis pubis. As someone who's suffered from that before, he's been obviously playing with it for a number of weeks. It's one of those injuries, it's supposed to be in your groin, one of your tendons that joins underneath your pelvis. It basically wears away on the bone, and you end up with an unevenness in your groin. And waiting for a comment from you there, Cocksmith.
No, I'm leaving that one alone.
Anyway, you can basically play with it as long as you can deal with the pain. And basically what they said is that he's felt a pop or a crack, which suggests that where those bones are in your pelvis, where the tendon was pulling on, something's come away there, is what my guess would be. That's not a medical diagnosis, just having done it before with cricket a number of years ago. You basically can get up for every weekend, but you can't move for the next 5 days. So I would say that's been his situation for probably 6 to 8 weeks. So he's done for the year, barring they go back to the grand final. And in that case, there is a slim chance he could possibly get an old injection and play the GF if he had to. So Corey Harawira-Naera is back at lock. Ryan Sutton, who the Canberra said was pretty much out for the year because I didn't really think they were going to make the finals, let alone week 2. He's back on the bench. So it's a pretty good replacement for Elliott for Canberra. And Brad Arthur's made no changes whatsoever. So so that informs you on the team situation. So Moses at this stage says he's going to play.
Yep. Look, mate, I got to be honest with you. I only picked 1 from 4 last week, but I'm going for Canberra this week. I think they're going to do a number on Parramatta. Mate. I don't think Parramatta. Yeah, I don't think Parramatta have got the grit that Canberra have got. Yep. I think they're going to out-grit Parramatta. I think there's a couple of suspect things about Parramatta, mate. And I've said this before. I think honestly that when all is said and done this year, unless Parramatta make the grand final, they'll have to consider it a pretty much a failure because they've just waited for so long. And I think that I don't know if it's Brad Arthur's fault, to be honest. Yeah. I know that there's sometimes there's some bench things with all coaches that you kind of look at and go, geez, I would have done that earlier. I would have waited a bit longer for that. But I think in the overall scheme of things, they've overachieved. But because they've been waiting for so long for a premiership, I think they're only going to be happy if they get a premiership. And I'm not sure that this team, and I could be going off a little early, I've done that before, but I'm not sure this team
has got a
premiership.
SMS history.
I'm not sure this team has got a premiership in them. I think there's a couple of things missing about this team. I'm not going to mention names yet, although I will once we get to the off season. Yeah. If it goes the way that I suspect it'll go. I think that there's a couple of issues, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. But I really think the Canberra Raiders will get up. It could be the end of the line after that for them, but I think that they'll get up, and I think that they'll prove too gritty and they're probably more willing to get down in the trenches, I think. Yeah,
look, Parramatta and conversely Canberra, this game has a feel like Canberra can do what they did to Melbourne last week, where they just withstood 8 minutes of pressure. They can do that to Parramatta. I think they win the game. If Parramatta start well, I don't like our chances. Parramatta are a downhill skiing team. There's a few players in that lineup that have that tendency where, look, it's a good tendency to have when your team's on top. It really is, because you don't let the other team into the match. The concern I got for Para is if Canberra do hold them out early or they do start well, and it's 12-0 or 12-6 or 14-6 or something like that. I just don't know if Para, who had a lot of opportunities in the first half against Penrith last week, have got enough footy in them, and they should have heaps of footy in them. Dylan Brown has a gun. Mitchell Moses has games where you go, yeah, he's really good. Clint Gutherson can create like a lot of opportunities inside the 20. And Reid Marnie's dangerous around dummy half. He's got some good forwards to pass the ball to. There's a lot of things that tick the box from a Parramatta perspective. But then I go, you also then watch how Canberra have played, and they're like a snowball. It's coming downhill as well, but they're a snowball. It's just picking up and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I mean, Xavier Savage, who people have been saying, and Canberra fans in these forums, you should be playing Charles Nickel-Clockstaff because, he's going, but he's better. This kid, he didn't do a whole lot in the last game against Melbourne, but he came up with a couple of plays that helped them win the game. He is the one that if I'm Parramatta, I am most worried about, because if he gets into the game, you've got another string to the bow of Canberra that didn't really get pulled last week. And I'm looking at Canberra. I'm staying positive. I've got tickets. You are not invited at all after the way you treated me last time. Put the guilt trip on me at the end of the podcast. Thanks for that. But we'll be there with 30-odd thousand other fans. There'll probably be 5,000 Canberra fans and 25,000 Parramatta fans. But it's going to be a great night. And I'm going to stick with Canberra. I'm less confident about this week than I was against Melbourne last week, especially now you've tipped Canberra as well. You put the marker on us. But, look, Canberra's middles have been tremendous. They can probably counter what the starting pack for Para can do. Don't like Para's bench. They'll probably move Madison back to the bench again, but they play him for then 60 minutes in a row. I don't understand the mentality behind how Parramatta, especially how they used Paulo last week. I'm sticking with Canberra. I think losing Elliott is big, but Harawira-Naera, who I don't like on the edges because he can't tackle, actually found the Energizer Bunny factor when he came on and played at lock for us on Saturday night. He only has to play half a game in that role. Ryan Sutton can play the solid position there at lock when he comes on. I'm sticking with Canberra. I'm going Canberra by 2. I don't want to be disappointed on Friday night. It's pretty much the reason that I'm picking Canberra. How about you? What's your margin?
Look, here's the thing, mate, right? Just further on how I think they should play it. Yeah. If Canberra don't let Mitchell Moses get his tail up, and what by that I mean they just pressure him all night, and they put someone like Harawira Naira on him to pressure every kick, and don't let him get away with a kick. Just make sure he gets tapped after the kick. As long as it's not too late, as long as it's within the letter of the law, make him work for it. I don't think he's going to get into the game. And I think if he doesn't get into the game, they can't win. And I think Canberra win by 8.
8. I like that. I'll take by 1. I'll be very happy with 1.
Of course you will.
But that's where we're at. So both on Canberra on Friday night. Now the winner of this game will take on North Queensland Friday week up there in Townsville. Good luck to either side that gets through that matchup. The other game is Cronulla and South Sydney. The last couple of days I've been reflecting on the match and thinking, yeah, South will have something to miss because they've lost Tom Burgess. He's a big factor in their bench rotation. It's big boy. But I'm reflecting on how Cronulla played and they missed that opportunity to knock North Queensland off. And I didn't think Latrell was huge in the game on Sunday. He'll be huge. He'll be huge on Saturday.
I'm
going South. I feel like South.
Yeah, see, I disagree. I think Cronulla are going to get it, but the one thing Cronulla have got to do to get it is they've got to tighten their defence up. There's a couple of pretty soft tries there the other night with North Queensland on both sides, by the way. Obviously, there's a pretty high-scoring game, 32-30, I think, in the end. That's not really an NRL final score that we're used to seeing. I think Cronulla are going to get it. I think Souths have been up and down, or they've had 2 very emotional games the last 2 weeks against the Roosters. I just think they may run out of energy. I know Cronulla played a very long game against the Cowboys, but I don't know if they wasted as much emotional kind of energy on that. I think, this coming down to being sudden death, I think we're going to see the better of Cronulla. They know the blueprint to beat Souths. They've just got to enact it. Easier said than done. But yeah. I'm going to go for Cronulla by 4.
Who has the big game that wins it for them? Because that's the worry that I look at the 2 lineups and I go, the Souths have got a bunch of match winners there. I don't love their bench. They've got Nicarima, Sele, Chukam, and Havili. So Havili's their main dude on the bench there. And Cronulla do have Wilton, McInnes, Haminuele, and Fafita. But who's the starting player for Cronulla that's going to outdo Mitchell, Johnson, Walker?
It's got to be Nico.
Cook?
It's got to be Nico Hines.
Nico?
Yeah, it's got to be Nico Hines.
He couldn't knock out the Cowboys. That's the thing. He couldn't deliver that knockout punch, which I don't know. I'm being harsh on him, but I thought he would have done it on Saturday night. It didn't happen.
See, I think it's a little bit of a different story in a sudden death. When you're not in a sudden death, I think you've got that cushion, a little bit of a cushion there. And Penrith kind of proved that last year by losing that first game. I think that we're going to see a little bit of a different Cronulla this week. We just didn't really see a Craig Fitzgibbon team last week. We saw a bit more of last year's Cronulla, to be honest. They leaked points, and they didn't really have a strong finish in them. So, yeah, Nico Hines, I think, for them to win, he's going to have to lead from the front again and really lead them around, as well as, their forward pack have to be a little bit more effective. Moylan did bugger all the other night, to be honest with you. So he's going to have to do a bit more, as will Kennedy. So their spine's just got to work a bit better together. But I really like McInnes off the bench. I think he's a real good.
He was great the other night. Yeah, a couple of lines he ran that were just like, wow. That's commitment. That's putting your body on the line.
Oh, and he's not a very big bloke. I think he's only 94, 95 kilos. He's not a big dude. I think they're just going to have enough class, and I'm not discounting the Rabbits though. They're on a roll. Like when I say they're on a roll, I know that we spoke about this before. They've won one game, but I'm not quite sure that first game against the Roosters, I think that might have been I'm not saying they threw that game, but maybe they found out a whole lot about beating the Roosters because they played completely differently the second time round.
Cam Murray also played 1 minute in that match.
Yeah, you're correct. But yeah, it's a really interesting one for me. The Cronulla one. That's why I think it's going to be a little closer.
What did you say, margin?
4.
I'm going South by 7.
Wow.
Sorry, Cronulla fans. I know there's a few that listen to this podcast, but there's a bit of momentum there for South Sydney. And I'll give you a player that I thought played really well on Sunday. Can you guess who it was?
Again, with South?
Yeah.
I know you like Alex Johnston and you love Cody Walker too. So go on.
No, Ilias, the halfback. I thought he played really well.
Yeah, I did too. I think that was one of his better games, I think.
Yeah, and he actually presented an option on the right edge. Now, that's the thing that Connor Tracy, who I think will be playing right wing for Cronulla. Now, we've talked about it many times. Stay on your wing, Connor. I'm sure we can find your phone number and just send you a message and say, dude, stay on your wing. Problem is he's defending outside Jesse Ramian. I mean, that's going to be where South they'll have a field day down there. But look, the thing is, the right edge for South is going to have to be dangerous. They're going to have to offer more than they offered against the Roosters. And you're not going to come up against Paul Momirovski and Drew Hutchison playing in the centres every week. Just not going to happen. So Talakai looked a bit more dangerous as well for Cronulla on last weekend. So that's another factor. But I liked what I saw from Ilias. I don't think they'll die without Burgess coming up. And Cook, again, there's a little bit of form coming with Damien Cook at the moment. And that back row has been dynamic for South Sydney. I mean, Cam Murray, you wouldn't have known he'd just been concussed out like deluxe the week before, which I guess bodes well for Mitchell Moses. But I'm sticking with South. I think Latrell has a big game, and we set up a Penrith South prelim the week after. Which wouldn't that be a game and a half of full cream dairy milk?
Yeah, that will be a very good game, and I think that's the game that North Queensland or Canberra want to see.
Nice, mate. All right, well, I think we're done. I think have you got home yet?
Yeah, I'm at home, yeah.
Oh, look at that. How good's that? We've timed it beautifully. That's been their podcast, 257 for you, everyone. Good luck if your team's playing this weekend. Mine is, Rob's isn't. I think that's 4 straight years, isn't it, Cocksmith, of finishing higher than the...
It's been great talking to you tonight, mate. It's a shame I'm parked in my driveway and I've got to go.
Oh, what a shame. Oh, is that dinner? Oh, okay, you better go. Good to hear from you if you're enjoying the show, everybody. We appreciate the fact that you've been listening. Some good numbers of late, so thank you for that. We'll try and reconvene on Sunday to recap 2 semi-finals and hopefully enjoying the dual pod setup that we've been able to give to you the last couple of weeks.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, I will talk to you on Sunday. Take it easy. Pepsi.
Not the Footy Show.
Go and look at it again, Go and look at it again.
Penrith, South Sydney. They did say the Melbourne Storm. They did. The last 2 or 3 weeks had a soft jaw going into the semi-final.
They've never had finals defence all season.
Are they out in the straight sets, guys?
Yeah, they're gone.
Why don't you use a couple of snippets of that in the intro?
I've got the one that I like the most is the one where he says that Sharks are gone. That was my favourite bit.
You can't don't use your political swing. All right, let's just. I reckon open. Well, you hate the Sharks. You hate them.
No, I don't hate the Sharks. I just hate.
Yes, you do.
I hate the song. That song was in my head for about 9 months, even after I left the NRL. You know which one?
The black, white, and blue.
That's it.
Well, that's because when you left was straight after they won, was it?
Yeah, a couple of months. No, it's a couple of months. Yeah,
Don't hate on the Sharks. Don't hate on the Sharks.
Not the Footy Show.
You've been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.